Let me paint a picture for you. In just a few years, we're talking just a handful of years from now, having an AI companion, whether that's an AI girlfriend, a boyfriend, or even just a friend, is going to be as normal as having a dating app on your phone. Yeah, I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but the data suggests it's our very near future. So how is this happening so fast? And more importantly, what does it mean for all of us? Let's dig in.
Okay, so it all kicks off with this one prediction. And honestly, it's so bold that it kind of forces you to stop and rethink everything you thought you knew about relationships.
So let's just put the core question right out there on the table. Is it actually possible that in just a few short years, forming a deep emotional bond with an AI will be completely, totally mainstream? Well, the projections are screaming yes. By 2028, it's predicted that up to 1 billion, that's billion with a B, people worldwide will be using AI companions. Let that sink in. That's not a niche community. That's a global phenomenon, on the same scale as the biggest social media platforms out there. And look, this isn't some wild guess from the fringes of the internet. This comes straight from the McKinsey Global Institute, one of the most respected research firms on the planet. When they put out a forecast like this, you better believe major corporations and governments are paying attention. So the real takeaway here is that this isn't just sci-fi speculation anymore. It's a serious, data-backed projection from the absolute highest level. Okay, that is a powerful claim, right? But big predictions, well, they need some big evidence to back them up. So let's follow the money and the users and see exactly why these experts are so confident. The financial engine behind this whole thing is just staggering. Just look at this chart from Grandview Research. The market is set to explode from about $2 billion today to almost $21 billion by 2028. That's a tenfold increase in just 4 years. A massive tidal wave of investment is betting on this becoming a core part of our everyday lives. And all that investment, it's chasing some absolutely explosive user growth. We're talking about an annual growth rate somewhere between 200 and 300%. Let me be clear about that. That is one of the fastest adoption rates for any consumer technology in history, period. And this isn't just some trend that's going to happen. It's happening right now. You've probably heard of platforms like Replica and Character AI, right? Well, these aren't tiny little startups anymore. They already have a combined user base of over 30 million people who are actively, right now, building relationships with AI. Now, this chart from Pew Research, this tells us exactly who is driving this trend. And wow, is there a massive generational divide. You can see that a full 65% of Gen Z finds AI companionship acceptable. This pattern, it's almost a carbon copy of how earlier generations slowly warmed up to online dating, taking it from something kind of taboo to something totally normal. So the numbers are crystal clear, but why? Why is this all happening so incredibly fast? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a perfect storm of social and technological factors all converging at this exact moment in time. Looking at this timeline, you can really see just how recent this whole explosion is. For years, AI companions were this niche hobby, you know? But then, right around 2023, with the boom in these incredibly powerful language models, we hit what's being called the acceleration era. All of a sudden, the tech got good enough to feel real, and the growth just went vertical. You really have 5 key forces fueling this perfect storm. First, we have a widespread loneliness epidemic, which is creating a massive, massive need for connection. At the exact same time, the AI has become advanced enough for conversations that feel truly human. It's also incredibly easy to access, right there on our phones, often for free. And it offers something humans just can't: 24/7, completely judgment-free availability. You combine all of that, and that stigma that used to exist, it's just melting away. So we have a massive trend on our hands, and we know why it's happening. But what does this all actually mean? What's the real-world impact going to be on our relationships, and really on society as a whole? Well, the potential impacts they're deeply polarized. On one hand, you could see this as a powerful tool against loneliness, offering mental health support and a safe space for people to just be themselves. But on the other hand, critics are really worried it could lead to even greater social isolation and create totally unrealistic expectations for messy, real-world human relationships. And here's the paradox, right? Notice how the biggest pro, curing loneliness, could directly lead to the biggest con, fostering isolation. That's the tightrope we're walking.
And this all leads to the central and maybe the most uncomfortable question of all. When you're given the choice between a perfect, always on, always agreeable AI and the beautiful but often very difficult complexity of a real human partner, which one will people choose?
Let's make this personal for a second. Based on all these projections, this isn't some abstract social issue that's happening out there. By 2028, you will almost certainly know people, friends, family, maybe even coworkers who have AI companions. It's going to become a casual topic of conversation. The entire dynamic of dating and friendship is about to change in a way we have never seen before. So what does the road to this new reality actually look like? Well, experts have mapped out a pretty clear timeline for what to expect over the next few years. Here's the roadmap. The first big domino falls around 2026. That's when the major tech companies are expected to jump into the space, making AI companions a household topic. Just a year later, we could hit critical mass, with social acceptance crossing that 50% threshold. And all of that leads right to 2028, when this just becomes normal, with up to 1 billion users around the world. And if you look just a little bit beyond that horizon, the predictions get even wilder. The next big milestone is AI that isn't just human-like, but is functionally indistinguishable from a human being inside virtual and augmented reality. So when you look at all the data, it becomes pretty clear. This future isn't a distant possibility, it's pretty much an imminent reality. The question is no longer if this is going to happen, but what happens to us when it does? As hundreds of millions of people start to form some of their deepest bonds with artificial intelligence, how is that going to forever change what it means to be human?